Welcome back from the ad break. Let's continue with our lesson. So next we are going to look at the distributive property of addition. Now remember, distributive means that we are going to multiply the 3 with the 2 together, and we are going to also multiply the 3 with the 7 together, and we are adding in this case. So we have 3 multiplied by 2, that will give us a 6. Then we are adding it because in the bracket we have an addition there. And then we are going to multiply the 3 and the 7, that gives us a 21. And when we add 6 with 21, that is going to give us 27. The next one there, we have 12, and in our brackets we have 7 plus 10. So we can distribute those. 12 multiplied by 7 is 84. And we are going to add that with 12 multiplied by 10, and that is 120. If I add 84 with 120, my answer is going to be 204. The next one has a subtraction in the bracket. Distributive property works for subtraction as well. So we are still going to distribute in the same way. 4 multiplied by 12, that is 48. And we are going to multiply the 4 with the 5 together. And remember, because we are subtracting, that is going to be a minus. So 4 multiplied by 5 is 20. And our answer there is going to be 28, because 48 minus 20 gives us a 28. So now we are going to move on to the properties of 0 and 1. Let's start with the properties of 0. So we know that any number multiplied by 0 is 0. For example, we have 5 multiplied by 0, that is 0. We have 745 multiplied by 0, that is 0. So it doesn't matter how big or how small the number is, if we are multiplying by 0, the answer will be a 0. Any number divided by 0 is non-real or imaginary. So that is 4 divided by 0. That is equals to non-real number or imaginary. Even if the number is big, like 2,368 divided by 0, that is still imaginary. It is non-real. 0 divided by any number is 0. So if we take 0 and divide it by 7, the answer will be 0, because we are dividing nothing by a certain number. We also have 0 divided by 23. Again, the answer will still be a 0. Let's move on to the properties of 1. So we know that any number multiplied by 1 remains the same number. That is 5 multiplied by 1. What do you think the answer is going to be? Yes, you are correct. It remains the same. It is going to be a 5. What is 745 multiplied by 1? Yes, it is 745. So do you see how the number remains the same if it is multiplied by 1? Another property of 1 is that any number divided by 1 remains the same. So any number divided by 1 remains the same. 4 divided by 1, do you think you know what the answer will be? Yes, you are correct. It remains the same. It is 4. 2,367 divided by 1. Again, it will still remain the same. It will be 2,367. The next property of 1 is that any number except for 0. So any number divided by itself is equals to 1, except for 0. So if I have 16 divided by 16, what will the answer be? 1. If I have 5,283 divided by 5,283, what will the answer be? It is going to be 1. And remember, the reason why we say except for 0, do you remember the properties of 0? We said that any number divided by 0 is non-real. So if I say 0 divided by 0, I am dividing by 0, which means that the answer will be non-real. That's why 0 is the only number that we cannot divide by itself, and the answer becomes 1. So let's go back to our concept map where we are done with the first point and we are now moving to calculation techniques. So we are going to learn how to add, subtract, divide, and multiply using different methods. So we are going to start with calculations using columns. When we work with columns, we need to know the place value or position with each digit, that each digit holds. For example, if we have a number like 5,284, we need to know which number is the thousands, the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. So here's the number that we are given there as an example, 5,284. So as we can see there that the 5 is in the placeholder of, or in the place value of the thousands. The 2 is in the place value of the hundreds. The 8 is in the place value of the tens, and the 4 is in the place value of the ones. So this means we have 4 ones, we have 8 tens, we have 2 hundreds, and we have 5 thousands. So when we add, subtract, and multiply using columns, we work with each column at a time. Let's look at some examples of how we can do that. So we have a few addition sums here that we are going to work with. Let's start with the first one. I have 177 plus 521. So when we are adding in columns, we need to make sure that we add the numbers according to their columns. We are going to start with the ones. So we are going to say 7 ones plus 1 ones. So what is 7 plus 1? That is going to give me an 8. We move on to the tens column. We have 7 tens and 2 tens. So what is 70 plus 20? That is going to give us a 90. And we are going to write that 9 in the tens column because 90 is 9 tens. Then we move on to the hundreds column. That is going to be 100 plus 5 hundreds. That is going to give us 6 hundreds, and that 6 goes into the place value of the hundreds. It means that our answer is 698. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one there is 2,145 plus 1,328. Again, we start with the ones. So we have 5 ones plus 8 ones. So our answer there is 13. Now 13 is made up of 1 10 and 3 ones. So remember, we need to write the values in their place holders or in their place values. So for 13, that is 3 ones. But because we have 1 tens, I am going to write it in the tens column. And then I'm going to add it later with the tens. So we have 4 tens plus 2 tens. That gives us 6 tens. But we are going to add the 1 10 that is there, and that gives us 7 tens. Then we have 100 plus 300s, and that is going to give us 400s. We move on to the thousands. That is going to be 2,000 plus 1,000. So 2,000 plus 1,000 gives us 3,000. Our answer there is 3,473. Let's quickly do the last one, where we are going to add 10,562 with 74,739. We are going to start with the ones. So 2 ones plus 9 ones, that gives us 11. So 11 is 1 10 and 1 1. So we are going to write the 1 in the ones column, and then we are going to write the 10 in the tens column. Then we have 6 tens plus 3 tens, that is 9 tens. But we are going to add the 1, and that gives us 10 tens, which is actually 100. So that is 60 plus 30, that is 90. When we add the 1, it gives us 100. So because there are 0 tens and there is 100, I'm going to add the 1 in the hundreds column. Then we are going to have 500s plus 700s. 500s plus 700, that gives us 1,200. But remember, we have the 100, so that means we now have 1,300. How many hundreds do we have? That is 300. But the 1,000 needs to go to the thousands column, so that is 1,000 there. In the thousands column, we have 0 thousands plus 4,000. That gives us 4,000. But if we add that 1,000 there, that is going to give us 5,000. And then we have a 10,000 plus a 70,000. And that gives us an 80,000. Our final answer there is 85,301. Let's quickly go to an ad break, and then we'll see you just now for more calculations.